Okay, now just some practical stuff. You want to be an observer. How do you do that? So first thing, today is step one. Congratulations. Learning about what it's all about and what it is. Observing is not rocket science, but it does benefit from experience. I know, thinking back to the first time I observed a swim, I've learned a lot, and it's pretty hard to get everything right the first time. So that definitely benefits from practice and working with people who know what they're doing. So training, there's classroom training, listening to people talk. There's CPR training, which I think the Tahoe folks are now requiring. It's required for Monterey, it's required for Santa Barbara and Catalina. If the sanction org provides an AED apparatus, AED training is required as well. First aid is another really good one, learning about how to apply basic first aid. You learn some about hypothermia as well, which is a very practical skill. So CPR, and then the last and probably most important part of the training is on the water experience, getting out there and working with someone who's done it before, or observing a shorter swim like the width of Tahoe is probably a great one to get some experience on the water. Doesn't last all day, which is kind of nice. Okay, so basically, around this slide, I want to mention there's actually two general workflows. We're going to talk mostly about the workflow for observing sanctioned swims. So, as mentioned before, you're the representative of an organization when you go out there. The second workflow is observing an independent swim, like if a body of water doesn't have a sanction org and you want to develop documentation to submit to MSF or whatever. Slightly different workflows. But, so your job in general is to document the swim and to confirm that the ratification standards specified by the organization were followed. And also to, there's an unwritten safety aspect it's your job, but also the crew's job to monitor the swimmer safety, and we'll learn about all that today. Okay, so get listed, contact the organization, find out what you need to do in order to find out about scheduled swims. Get on their list. Typically, an organization will have an observer coordinator. For the Santa Barbara Channel Swimming Association, that's Dave. Contact Dave and get on the list. For Monterey.
Yeah, so by coming today, we already have a certain pool of observers that we know and trust and have been out on the boats and so forth. But just by coming today, you're going to be on our list, and we're going to compile that list as people who have gone through this training and are interested in observing. And what we're going to do is share that list with Lake Tahoe Swim Association as well as pilots. Like Sylvia is back here with Pacific Open Water Swim Company. They will have access to that list of observers if they need to reach out and contact an observer for any swim that they're doing. And so we will now kind of share that pool of you'll be on the list of people who are interested and are getting yourself trained to observe marathon swims. So, as Monterey, what we'll do is as we get swims scheduled for the season, we'll probably reach out to you if we're in need of filling slots and ask you if you're interested in observing any of the following swims. Right now we have so few swims that we're not really publishing a huge schedule of swims. We're hoping that changes in the future, but yeah, and this is Lake Tahoe is a different story. You have a massive number of swims coming down.
Okay, and how about Tahoe?
Tahoe,
you want to observe for Tahoe, what do you do?
Contact me, we'll line up. Send an email on that. So, we're getting I'm trying to funnel it all through the website. We've got the documents, the observer rules, all the rules of the swim, and the documents will be online. Basically, so provide. And I'm reachable by phone anytime. So,
Yeah, it says printer pick up the kit. And so with Monterey Bay Swimming Association, we actually have an observer kit. It's a bag. It's got all your radios. It has the AED. It has all safety gear. It'll have a copy of the actual guidelines and rules and checklists and information on contacting the swimmer. 1 to 2 weeks in advance. It has all that set up for you as everything's templated, checklists and so forth. And we'll physically give you that kit prior to the swim. And make sure that you have whatever support you need as an observer. So that's kind of all involved in picking up the kit. And I think with Lake Tahoe, you'll have, I don't know where Dave went, but yeah, so for Lake Tahoe, if you're assigned to observe there, you'll be emailed the most current steps and rules.
we're going to have that posted online on the website.
Yeah, we want to tune it up for swim year 2018, and then it can be emailed out or, like Tom said, downloaded from the website.
So I just have my little old-fashioned no printer
I
at
know
my
what you're going to
house.
say.
I know,
Yeah.
and I do appreciate being able to pick up the packet. I'm not a computer
You can mail it
tech
to
person. No, I'm printer Tom. So
Yeah, but
it's drama,
that
it's drama going to
You like
FedEx
print.
at my house.
You have comments?
So they won't, yeah,
Whatever your
anyway.
preference.
So it's nice to be able to pick it up if you can. So just as an option, that's a good thing.
Okay, Sylvia has a comment.
Yeah.
So for both Lake Tahoe, so for Pacific Open Water Swim Company, for both Lake Tahoe and anything here in San Francisco Bay, we actually already have designated bags. We have an AED on every boat. We're all U.S. are captains. We are all certified CPR, first aid, AED, both infant and adult. But we have actually designated bags on each of our boats that has a binder, that has the Lake Tahoe. It has the MSF rules. We have everything already complete so that if swimmers coming on board, like when Evan came to observe Dave swim, because we know Evan, Evan had his own paperwork. But if Evan didn't, we would have had a packet
Right.
to double check and that the observers has what they need. Because do know of cases where an observer gets in an accident, they get stuck, they can't make it last minute, they may have a kit,
Yeah.
but another observer has to fill in. And they don't want someone who's trained and traveled and flown from all over the world to not have what they need to get their swim done because there was an issue with the observer.
So much like what we're doing in Monterey Bay, you're actually as a pilot providing, making sure that is covered.
Yeah, I mean, we just, as a backup
Yeah.
for the observer. I mean, we know that things happen, cars, so we have all of that already for each body
Good
on
to
each
know.
of the boats.
Thank you.
Yeah, so when I hear you guys talking about all this effort, I guess I want to chime in and say, you're damn right. Because like we have, we're very careful. We've got a Google Doc where we track the swimmers and we know, they've paid, they've declared, we've had a vetting committee say they're solid, we've married them with an observer, we've sent them this litigant. There's this whole really rhythm of things that need to happen as now the observer becomes the proxy, as Evan said. And we have the observer kits as well. We don't do them for both, but we put them in Ventura where most of our swims go out from, and we get them shuttled to and from the boat. And certainly they have observation logs and everything in them, but our observers are pretty well known. They have more veteran.
Okay, so from your perspective as an observer, generally before you go out and observe a swim, the sanction org should provide you with at least some documents, emailed or printed or otherwise. Some documents should probably include rules, processes that the sanction org wants you to follow, people to contact. If somebody's leg gets chomped, who do you call? But you should have some documents that will help you through the process. Additionally, many sanction orgs will provide a kit with some essential tools in it, like a thermometer. An AED is a good one to have. An AED has saved lives on marathon swims. A couple of times.
My son is a paramedic. He calls that Edison medicine.
So the kit and documents, make sure you have both of those before you go out on swim. Okay, at this point, I mentioned you are the representative of the organization. You are now the contact person for the swimmer. So email them, introduce yourself, and try to get to know them a little bit before you go out and observe them. But at that point, you represent the organization, and you should act like it. You're a professional at this point. So contact the swimmer. That should happen at least a couple weeks before. But hopefully the documents provided to you by the organization will lay that all out for you. Okay, during the swim, big thing here is establishing your authority, and that. I mean, it's. I'm not saying you need to be, Mr. Bossy Pants or anything, but you should establish that, what your role is, and that as an observer, actually, you should be the second in command behind the pilot. You have the authority to call up the swim, interpret rules, and so forth. So greet the crew. You need to be at your best at this point. Introduce yourself.
Question.
Yeah.
How does the observer deal with the crew chief? Like you said that the observer has the authority to call off the swim. What if the crew chief doesn't want that to happen?
Well, if it's a sanctioned swim, if it's a sanctioned swim, then and the crew chief disagrees.
Actually, I think you guys need to back up. A lot of people here don't even know what a crew chief is.
Well, we're going to get to that.
I think you guys are using the term, and maybe some people in the term. I didn't know it was there until my first swim, so I don't think everyone else here does. So you guys need to be using terms we all know.
Suzanne?
Yeah, can you at some point address what the protocol is for calling off the swim
Yep.
in the order?
We have a section for that.
Okay.
Collect paperwork. So sometimes there's waivers, liability waivers that you need everyone on the boat to sign. Chain of command, just mentioned that. The observer has authority to call up the swim because the sanction org has the right to not ratify the swim. So if you want to be on the list, gotta listen to the observer. The pilot, of course, is always the top.
So here's the top.
Pilot is the top person. Read the rules out loud. The swimmer may know the rules. You may know the rules. Sometimes the crew hasn't heard the rules before, so that's useful. And there are some fine grain points like can't touch the boat. Some crew may not know that. Keeping the swimmer close enough to the boat that the observer can see the swimmer. That one gets messed up a lot, so it's always good to review that. Time to observe document. We'll get to that in a later slide. After the swim, the documents provided by the organization should tell you who to contact. So for SBCSA, that's me and Dave. Text or call when you get back on shore and everyone's safe. Confirm swimmer and crew are safe. The swimmer either DNF'd or finished in hours, minutes, seconds. And text a couple, if you have a smartphone or something, text a couple photos that the organization can put up on social media. Once that's done, you may have been awake all night, tired. Get something to eat, and then if you need to, sleep. Don't take on a long drive after you've been awake all night. You don't want to have any problems on the road.
Okay, yeah, so just a couple quick additions. So when you're contacting the swimmer, this is a great time for you to get to know their swim history, if they've done previous marathons, what their experience with cold water is. If they're swimming in Monterey Bay, you're going to want to know if they've had any previous experience with jellyfish and so forth. For Monterey Bay Swim, we have a checklist that actually is kind of a talking points for talking to the swimmer before you, when you call to introduce yourself. So it's kind of all written out there for you. But it's really that, like Devin said, it's time to get to know the swimmer and make that connection point. Say, are you representing the organization? Collecting paperwork. Depending on what swim you're doing and what organization you're doing it for, there may be waivers and things like that you need to fill out. But that's all spelled out in the observer kits that you'll get. Your instructions before. And then chain of command. Again, I think Evan mentioned. Almost always is on a boat. The captain is in charge of everything. So if the captain says, the swim's off for any reason at all, they can call off the swim. If they ask you to do anything, they can tell the observer what to do, the crew, they are in charge of everything on the boat with the top observer. The observer's in charge of interpreting the rules, and they're the only official timer of the swim. And they can offer other advice, and we'll go into some of the things that you might do as an observer, other tasks. But in terms of chain of command, it's the pilot, and then the observer's in charge of the kind of rules of the swim, and the observer can call off the swim for a rule violation. So if the swimmer comes over and hangs on the swim ladder or hangs on the kayak while they're feeding, and they've been read the rules and they know that's a disqualification, as the observer, you have the right to say, you've been resting on the kayak and you knew the rules and so the swim's over. You have that authority. You also have the authority as an observer, if you see something that is endangering the health and safety or life of the swimmer or anyone on the crew, if it's something that can be easily corrected, do it. But if it's something that you feel like it's a continuous problem, or you think that this swimmer is causing danger for themselves or someone else, you call off the swim for health and safety. And Dave's going to go over that a little more specifically what to look for in terms of danger. So those are just a couple of additional things, and then so.